It was only 4 years ago that Jack Grealish was the most exciting winger in the league and the most expensive signing in Premier League history. Despite some initial struggles at City, he managed to reshape his game, adapt to Pep's positional system, and become a crucial part of City's historic treble-winning season. He was on top of the world. I mean, some people were even calling him the new David Beckham. And now he's playing for Everton. Because after 2 seasons of playing almost no minutes, completing almost no dribbles, and scoring almost 0 goals, a loan to a mid-table club might just be his last chance at reviving his career. When City broke the bank for Grealish in 2021, it was never going to be a smooth ride. £100 million doesn't just buy talent, it buys pressure. And in his first season, that pressure weighed heavy. He started 26 league games, logged nearly 2,000 minutes, and walked away with a Premier League medal. But 3 goals and 4 assists felt like a poor return on such a hefty price tag.
Expensive.
Under Pep's rigid positional play, Grealish looked like a player stripped of the freedom that had made him a star at Aston Villa. But great players find ways to adapt, and in his second season, Jack did exactly that. He pressed with intensity, held his width with discipline, and leaned into his greatest weapon, driving forward with sharp bursts of acceleration, low-to-the-ground dribbles, and the unique ability to glide past defenders in tight spaces. In fact, that season Grealish recorded 143 progressive carries in the league, almost 45% more than anyone else at City, and second only to Bukayo Saka across the entire Premier League. His 5 goals and 7 assists still didn't scream £100 million, but his influence was obvious, and Pep's trust in him reflected that. He started every major game, played the full 90 minutes in both the FA Cup and the Champions League finals, and was even called unplayable by Guardiola after a brilliant semi-final display against Real Madrid. By May 2023, Grealish had climbed the mountain, a key starter, a treble winner, and finally, a player worthy of his record-breaking transfer. But the thing about reaching the top is that there's usually only one direction left to go. The very next season, Grealish came in expected to defend his place in his side chasing another treble. But instead, injuries knocked him off rhythm. And every week he was sidelined, the competition around him grew stronger. Because while Jack was stuck trying to get back to full speed, Jeremy Doku was hitting top gear. Direct, electric, and everything Pep needed on that left wing. By the time Grealish regained his health, it was already too late. Pep's trust had shifted elsewhere, and soon it felt like Jack's trust in himself had gone too. The confidence that had once defined him, carrying the ball into the final third, gliding past defenders, and forcing fouls, had all started to fade. Instead, his trademark became something very different. Facing up a fullback, dragging the ball back, and recycling possession without any impact. He managed barely 1,000 minutes in the Premier League in 2023-2024. Less than half of the year before, and by the time the Euros rolled around, Grealish was left out of the England squad entirely. But if that felt like rock bottom, the following season proved that it wasn't. Because even with City struggling across all competitions, Jack could still barely get on the pitch, and his 1 goal all season in an 8-0 FA Cup win over Salford City was his first in more than a year. Within 24 months, Grealish had gone from a Champions League semi-final man of the match to struggling for scraps in early round domestic cup games. Across his final 4 years at City, Grealish started just 63 league matches, barely more than the 62 he managed in his last 2 seasons at Villa alone. His nearly 11 carries into the final third per 90 minutes at Villa fell closer to 5. His dribbles dropped to barely 2 a game, with fewer than 1 successful, and his shot-creating actions decreased by almost 50%. Even his trademark ability to win fouls had completely evaporated. The clear question is what happened? And the answer quite possibly lies in how much his role changed at City compared to the freedom he had when he was at his best. Back at Aston Villa, Grealish wasn't confined to one spot. He did play as a left winger, but also as a 10 or even in central midfield. You could find him almost anywhere on the attacking side of the pitch, drifting inside, dropping deep to get on the ball, or sliding across the field to where the space opened up. At City, Pep completely narrowed his world. A staggering 80% of his minutes were pinned to that flank, with far less time in central areas. He wasn't drifting into pockets to dictate play anymore. He was simply holding width, recycling possession, and waiting for the ball to return. And the data tells the same story. Between 2018 and 2021, Jack attempted between 3.8 and 5.5 dribbles per 90, with dribbles making up as much as 10% of his touches. In Manchester, those numbers shrank to between 2.6 and 3.5 attempts per 90, barely 4 to 6% of his touches. At Villa, Grealish was a free-roaming creator with license to break lines however he wanted. At City, he was a touchline winger forced to follow structure. It might not be the only reason his career has gone into decline, but it's definitely played a massive role in how things have unfolded since he joined the Sky Blues in 2021. Which is exactly why this move to Everton feels so decisive. More than just a loan or a potential reset, it might be the last clear chance he has to prove he's still the kind of player who can tilt games on his own. The Toffees are a team starving for creativity, evidenced by their lackluster 28.8 expected goals from open play last season. And that's where Grealish comes in. Even in his poorest years at City, he still created almost 3 chances per 90 minutes, nearly double the best Everton had to offer. The fit won't be simple. David Moyes won't give him the total freedom he had at Villa, but he also won't chain him to the touchline like Pep did. Somewhere in between lies the version of Grealish that can still thrive. Everton need a spark, Grealish needs redemption, and if both come together, we might just see the return of one of the most gifted players of his generation. He still has time.